It's the end of the road for Ronaldo in terms of the World Cup, at least. Gab, I watched him last night, and, you know, what I don't want Ronaldo to do, I remember Ronaldo at his breathtaking best. And I don't want him to tarnish his image, you know, because I watched him last night, and in a foot race, my cousin Mavis would have given him a real great contest, you know?
Yeah.
He just can't move.
I think as well, he looked like a 41-year-old last night. So we have to say that, and it's not down to Ronaldo, it's down to the manager, Roberto Martinez. Listen, if you look at stats of like best manager per win ratio, he is Roberto Martinez, but it's about the trophies that you've won. And this Portugal side have flopped at World Cups. Yes, they won the Euros, fantastic, Nations League, but they've flopped at World Cups. This generation of players will go down as a generation that underperformed. And Ronaldo, at times, it was walking football last night.
Yeah.
I played that position, Jeff. You have to be running the channels. You have to be creating space for other players. And the fact that Gonzalo Ramos, who scored the winner in the last round against Croatia, didn't get on the pitch says it all. Ronaldo, not his fault because he wants to play and the manager's playing him, but he cost Portugal this World Cup. And there'll be a lot of players, your Fernandes, your Neves, your Vitinha, Mendes, they'll be looking and thinking, legend of the player for the country, but because of him, we're going home.
Yeah. And as you say, the manager's seeming fear of substitute, I mean, takes off, you know, the likes of Vitinha and Neto and so on. And you say Ramos sitting on, even when Spain take the lead and there's 5 minutes or so of added time to come, still will not put Gonzalo Ramos on.
I don't know if they'd run out of substitutions, windows.
Had they?
I think they might have. I'm not 100% sure on that to bring him on that late. But it's just a shame to see sometimes. You know, like, do you remember the famous words from, was it Jamie Carragher to Casemiro? Leave the football for the football leaves you. You look at Ronaldo now and you're like, if I was the next Portugal manager, I'm only taking the job if he is not in the squad. Well, that's the level I'm going to.
Here's a thought for you. Roberto Martinez is leaving as Portugal manager. We all know that. How about Cristiano Ronaldo as the next Portugal manager?
Wouldn't surprise me. Plays himself every game for the next 5 tournaments.
He didn't have to play himself because then he's still at the forefront of everything.
Yeah, it was just a walking for me, Jeff. Now, the lack of pressing, the lack of offering anything, and throwing his arms up at his players. Even after the final whistle, he stood there. It's the Ronaldo show. He's not going around to the younger players to check if they're all okay. And unlucky, everyone's coming over to him, the king, to come and make sure Ronaldo's okay. There was a moment near the end of the game where it was a break. And Roberto Martinez comes out of his iPad. And if you see the clip, Ronaldo sort of like throws his arms up and Martinez is a bit like, whoa. And Ronaldo walks a different direction. That's been the problem. Ronaldo is bigger than Portugal. Simple as that.
Well, his quotes afterwards, this is Ronaldo. He says, I won three titles for Portugal. Yeah. Before Cristiano, Portugal hadn't won any titles. The best title I won for Portugal was at the 2016 Euros, which has the same dimension, in my view, as the World Cup. I mean, that's the thing, is he does live on planet me, doesn't he?
And that's the problem, Jeff. That's why when people say, why does Messi have more favouritism from your average fan? Because you won't hear that from Messi. After the game, he should have said, you know what? Disappointed for my country, disappointed maybe in my performances, but it's about him. I think he compared the Euros to like as big as the World Cup.
He did, yeah.
It's just nonsense, and that's why a lot of fans are not really too happy with Ronaldo.
Well, afterwards, Roberto Martinez was asked why he kept Ronaldo on the pitch in his press conference. This is what he said.
Today, that's an easy way to analyze. When you are a team that you need a goal, you cannot take Cristiano off, at least in the 90 minutes, because physically he's totally capable with what he's done over the season to be able to be there. It's a presence, open space, a dead ball situation, anything in the box. We need his experience, so it would make no sense. Probably going into extra time, it would have been the moment to use the energy of Gonzalo Ramos. Today, we were stopping totally what Spain tries to do with the influence of Pedri, the influence of Olmo, the influence of Rodri, the influence of Lamine Yamal, Cucurella arriving in the last third. We consider a goal that is not typically in the patterns of Spain. So today we had to keep the structure, and it wasn't a case to take your centre forward to top goal scorer off the game in the 90 minutes.
Yeah, I love Roberto Martinez. He's a lovely fella, very intelligent and articulate, but I don't agree with one word of that. You know, he didn't appear, Ronaldo didn't appear physically capable to take part in that game. I felt he sort of doddered around, you know, which I know is a bit respectful, but he doddered around up front, had no threat whatsoever from him.
It was like Ronaldo's testimonial. That's what it was like. A Ronaldo show. It's been like that the whole tournament. And even his decision to play Felix, how many chances is this guy going to get in a Portugal shirt? Because he was terrible again. Leao was very good against Croatia. He doesn't start. So I think he's a top manager, Roberto Martinez. When he looks back at how he's handled the Ronaldo situation, maybe higher powers again, Jeff, that you can't not play Ronaldo. But if I'm the next Portuguese manager coming in, Ronaldo cannot be part of that Euro squad, or don't want a job.
Agree. In his final World Cup match, Ronaldo had just 19 touches, 12 in the first half, 7 in the second, none at all after the 80th minute, but was still left on the pitch, even when Portugal were chasing a goal in added time. After the game, he defended his major tournament record. He said, I won 3 titles for Portugal. Before Cristiano, Portugal hadn't won any title. The best title I won for Portugal was the 2016 European Championships, which for me has the same dimension as the World Cup. I think we should say, no one's suggesting, Gabby, that Ronaldo has not been a wonderful player.
Of course, but you can't compare the Euros to the World Cup. That's like the African Cup of Nations or the Copa America to the World Cup. You know, it's always about Ronaldo. You know, go out of a tournament with a bit of humility. Yeah. He wasn't good enough. Didn't have any saying what Portugal have done in this tournament. And I just look at the manager. I know we're repeating ourselves from earlier, but Roberto Martinez, the big decisions, leaving Gonzalo Ramos out and not getting any minutes in the game last night, bad decision.
Yeah. Well, Roberto Martinez announced in the press conference after the game that he will be stepping down as head coach of Portugal. It had been widely rumoured beforehand. For more on this, I'm delighted to say joining us the Portuguese football expert, Pedro Sepulveda. Morning, Pedro.
Morning, Pedro.
Hello, good morning, guys.
So, Pedro, obviously a bit of disappointment as far as Portugal are concerned. And Cristiano Ronaldo, you know, taking a lot of criticism. What's the view of Ronaldo in Portugal? Is he still adored by the public?
Well, I think I completely understand that outside Portugal, you guys always focus too much on Ronaldo. And of course, in Portugal, we do it too. But I think inside Portugal, our focus is on Roberto Martinez. I think the only good news regarding the elimination of Portugal in this World Cup is that Roberto Martinez is not going to do any more games in front of the national team of Portugal. To be honest with you, I think Roberto Martinez is the worst coach I ever saw in front of Portugal national team. I don't really understand the decisions. I mean, the lineup, it's not difficult to do. The thing is, the decisions he make in terms of substitutions are crazy. There is no fundamentals, in my opinion. I don't really know what he wants to bring to the game with that substitutions or without them. You took Vitinha, you took probably the best midfielder in the world when you have Bruno Fernandes not at his prime in this competition. You have a striker that has 41 years old playing at the 75 minutes without running, without defending, without even touching the ball. When you have a striker younger in the bench that made you went through the next round in the last game. I don't understand the decisions. I don't really understand why Roberto Martinez doesn't take Ronaldo. We can stay here talking about Ronaldo, but I don't really think, of course, Ronaldo, if you ask him, do you want to be substituted? He's going to say no. but the coach is there for something. The coach is there exactly to coach, to manage the group. And if the best for the group is to take the best player of the team, you have to do it.
But Pedro, when I watch Portugal, yes, Ronaldo, part of the problem. But I look at other players like João Felix. Why is he still starting for Portugal? Rafael Leao done better in the last game. Why didn't he start? But the Ronaldo problem is there higher powers that demand that Ronaldo starts.
Well, in terms of Ronaldo starting, we already had that conversation. I think it's not something crazy that Ronaldo starts the game, because I think if I was in Roberto Martinez's position, I would start with Ronaldo's too. Regarding the other players that you mentioned, I think putting Leão on the bench and put João Felix in the lineup was a strategy. Leão finished the last game with a lot of physical problems. So I think Roberto Martinez knew that probably Spain was going to lead the position on this game, so he preferred to put, let's say, a different tactical player, because Felix is not that fastest player as Leão, but he can give another kind of movements like inside that Leão can't, because Leão plays too much for the wing, and Felix.
It didn't work,
plays,
did it?
Yeah, it didn't work. And when you put Leão, you see the changes and he brings
Exactly.
to the game. But I don't really think that the point was there. We needed a striker. We needed a goal. We need someone at least, because on the last 25 minutes the pressure was too much from Spain. Portugal dropped completely the lines, and basically they were playing on their offensive midfielder, and Portugal cannot do nothing instead of shooting the ball forward and try to see if someone can run. And you have a player that has 41 years old that cannot even hold the ball. And even if you look at Ronaldo on the counter-attacking, when he received the ball in the middle of the pitch, he was not confident to try, let's say, to run for the defenders, because he knew that probably he will lose. So Ronaldo's reaction was always receive the ball, wait 1 or 2 seconds, and then pass the ball to the defense, and then the defense would shoot again the long ball to see if someone can win in the airspace and try to hold. This was nothing for Portugal. And again, I don't really understand what Roberto Martinez was thinking. And then you see him and you ask him, I was thinking about Ramos for the extra time. Come on, if you are a coach at this level, you have to take the decisions before you suffer the goal. Otherwise, makes no sense. You cannot be thinking about the extra time when you still have the 90 minutes to finish.
Pedro, a lot of criticism, on the text this morning. Not so much for Ronaldo, but for Bruno Fernandes, which you've already touched on. But in terms of coach, who comes next in your view?
No, it will be Jorge Jesus. I have the information 100% sure that the deal is done. The deal is even done before the World Cup starts, to be honest with you. It's important to mention that this coach was not a decision from this board. The board changed before the Nations League, but Portugal won the Nations League, so it was difficult for the president of the federation, Pedro Sepulveda, the new one, to quit Roberto Martinez from the position when he won the competition. Then his dream of Pedro Sepulveda was to bring Mourinho to the national team. There were conversations on these terms, but as you guys know, the relationship with Mourinho and Ronaldo is not the best. So here you can see the power of Ronaldo in the national team too, because with Ronaldo playing, impossible, I can guarantee you that Mourinho could be the national team of Portugal, the national team coach of Portugal. So then they had to move for another option, and then the option was Jorge Jesus, who already knows and who is already working that he will become the next national team coach of Portugal.
Pedro, thank you so much for your insight. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you so much. Pleasure and good luck to England in the next stages.
Thank you, Pedro. Portuguese football expert Pedro Sepulveda with us there, and he's not mincing his words. Roberto Martinez, the worst coach I ever saw, is what he said.
That's harsh.